Shortstop is awesome this year. Let's talk about it on Fantasy Baseball today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. Today is Thursday, February 9th. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Scott White. And let's start off with a little strategy talk. Scotty, when it comes to shortstop, what are you doing this year?
Yeah, so shortstop is clearly one of the deepest position at a time when there are a lot of positions that aren't so deep. So it's really between shortstop and first base, which is deeper. And so if a position's going to afford me a chance to wait on it this year, I'm going to wait on it. So like Trey Turner, who's in the running for number 1 overall pick, no chance for me. He's not even in my top 5 just because I don't want to invest that pick in a shortstop. Likewise, it's doubtful I'll draft a shortstop in round 2, 3, or even 4, because after that comes this enormous mid-tier that for me is like, gosh, I haven't even counted it up. It's like 8 names deep, ranging from Corey Seager or Oneil Cruz, depending on what scoring format you play, and all the way through Carlos Correa and Willy Adames. And I'm more or less equally happy with them. I might go the extra round for Oneil Cruz or Corey Seager because I think they have untapped upside, Cruz especially. But you know, if I wind up with a Xander Bogaerts or Carlos Correa or Willy Adames as my starter at shortstop, I don't feel like I'm at a great disadvantage relative to the rest of the league. Now, after that enormous tier is gone, things get very scary very quickly. So if you play in a deeper league, one that uses a middle infield spot like traditional roto, or certainly anything 15 teams or more, then you got to be a little more conscientious about how quickly shortstop's depleting. But 12-team or head-to-head lineup or shallower, you can hold off for a long time.
Shortstop is loaded too, Scott. If you just look at ADP, there are 13 shortstops going inside the top 100 picks. Even if you take out Bobby Witt Jr., who's likely to be used as a third baseman, or Tommy Edman, who will likely be used as a second baseman, 11 names in the top 100. That is a lot. So just make sure to get one before that drop-off. Right around Correa and Jeremy Pena, it starts to fall off a little bit. All things considered, Scott, who is the catcher that you are targeting? Shortstop that you are targeting most this year?
So in an ideal world, it's Oneil Cruz and Corey Seager for the reason I already mentioned. But realistically, because like I said, if a position affords me the opportunity to wait, I'm probably going to wait. Realistically, it's going to be whoever goes last between Carlos Correa and Willy Adames. Whose ADP is lower? I think it's Correa's ADP is lower, right?
Yep.
I actually prefer Correa, and I find that the people I draft with usually do too. So I've been drafting Willy Adames more often, but I think Correa is the higher upside player overall, certainly more batting average potential, probably similar power-wise. Willy Adames might have make a little bit of a speed contribution that Correa won't make at all. So they're pretty similar in my eyes, and I'll be okay taking whichever lasts longest.
Willy Adames hit 31 home runs, I believe it was, last year. There were only 23 hitters with 30 or more home runs last year, and only 2 at shortstop. Willy Adames was one of them. The other was Corey Seager, who you mentioned, Scott, and I do like Corey Seager. He is the one that I am targeting most. An ADP of 59 last year. 245 batting average was really low, but a career-high 33 home runs his first year with Texas, and we have reason to believe with the shift restrictions that the batting average should be much better this year for Corey Seager. His XBA, 283, according to StatCast last season, so looking at a nice little bounce back there for Corey Seager, and pretty big upside as well. Some busts, a player that you are looking to avoid, Scotty. Who do you have?
It's Xander Bogaerts, who feels like a safe pick, I understand, but you got to take his decline to 15 home runs last year a little more seriously than it seems like people are, because actually going into last year, Bogaerts is somebody I pinpointed who could suffer from the loss of the juice ball, the expectation that home runs were going to decline across the game, because he was a player who was, by raw power metrics, middling power, not particularly impressive. And that indeed happened with him slumping to 15 home runs. Worse, 10 of those 15 came at Fenway Park, including 8 over the Green Monster and 1 around Pesky's pole. So 9 of the 10 were the sort of home runs that might not be home runs in a lot of parks. And San Diego is on the opposite end of the spectrum for right-handed hitters in particular. I still think Xander Bogaerts is going to be a safe sort of source of batting average in a deep lineup. Should have a lot of runs, RBI. Where he falls short in home runs, he'll make up with it in doubles. So in points leagues, I think he's still pretty safe. But from 5x5 perspective, I think 15 home runs is the more likely outcome than 20 now. And it may actually be closer to like 12.
But those counting stats, Scott, could be absolutely ridiculous. The top 4 of that Padres lineup, assuming everybody is healthy and not suspended, of course, but it could be awesome. If you want to find out why I have Dansby Swanson as a bust, then you can listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye!